personally love this. This is one of the coolest freaking things I've ever gotten my hands on in this entire time I've done this channel. Well, if you haven't seen the so far announced lineup for the NERF 2018 line, well, for one, you can go check the community tab on the Walcom S7 YouTube page, and there you can find not only the sources for seeing what the blasters are, but my thoughts on them. Way easier than me doing a 3-minute video, or God help us, a 10-minute video, just rambling and talking about stuff that we have no idea how it actually works. Well, this works a lot easier, so just go to the community, click that, you'll see links and pictures and video and all that kind of crazy stuff. It's really cool and it works really well, and that's what I'm going to be using from now on. I also post like teasers for mods and stuff there, and other little videos you won't see on the channel. I really like the community tab. I think it's a good thing for YouTube. But anyway, if you've seen it, it's massively disappointing, and I feel envious of you that you haven't seen it. Spoiler, because it is really disappointing in my opinion. It is nothing but more expensive reshell after more expensive reshell. The most interesting blaster that they've announced so far is the Infimus, which is a full auto flywheel blaster like everything we've seen before. The gimmick this one has is that it has some kind of loading gate in the back of the blaster that when you dump darts into will automatically feed them into the detachable drum magazine, and of course it will work with all your standard NFStrike magazines as well. But how does that work? I have no idea. I'm really interested to see how it works, and it better work really well because I'm really excited for it, and it's $70 for a full auto flywheel blaster, which has a gimmick. Like the Prometheus, you're excited for that? It's a $200 Nemesis. The Hades, it's a $70 Artemis. Nothing new, nothing interesting, nothing innovative, and I really, really hope we see something more from NERF coming from Toy Fair. But regardless, there is some stuff that I want to kind of show off that might be new and interesting, at least it's interesting and new to me, and that is this grenade from NFStrike.com. Yes, a NERF grenade. Well, it's not technically a NERF grenade, but we can certainly make it one. This thing is designed by 2T38 and LDT. It is the Mark III. I have no idea. It's made in China. It came from NFStrike.com, and it looks like this. It looks like a grenade. It even has a pin and everything, which is pretty exciting because the only thing we really had in the form of a NERF grenade was, of course, the Scatter Blast from Leonard, which barely worked at all. Only shot like 6 darts and they barely went anywhere. And you probably never hit anything with it, and it was really dangerous. Not to say this is like less dangerous. It is still heavy and made of hard plastic, but still somewhat dangerous. It's supposed to use these like I got them kind of constituting in a shot glass here. These like water BB kind of things. They look like that, and they're like the size of airsoft rounds, and they're nice and jelly and rubbery, and well, they won't hurt you if they hit you, and if they get in your eye, they shouldn't cause any kind of damage or anything like that, because they're totally safe. At least that's the point of them. And you just get a bag of them like this, or you can buy a huge bottle of like 50 million of them for $2 and have all kinds of fun with that kind of stuff. But of course, this is NERF. Even though those are perfectly usable in a NERF war, especially outdoors, because they just biodegrade and nobody's gonna care and you can still feel if you get hit by them. I think that's perfectly fine if you wanted to use this thing in a NERF war using those. I would definitely allow it, no problem whatsoever. And if you really wanted to, you could use this thing obviously for airsoft and stuff like that. You actually put the little gel ball things, you just kind of pour them into the bottom and then you close it up and then you pull the pin and you throw it and it explodes and releases that stuff everywhere. It would work with airsoft BBs or pretty much anything you can fit in this grenade, which got me thinking, how could I use this in an actual NERF war? And that's an interesting question because I had several ideas and I thought this was going to be bigger. I thought it was going to be about a third bigger. It's not, it's pretty freaking small. I mean, I don't have the biggest hands and it fits perfectly in my hand. I guess that's in tune with the fact that it's a grenade, but I did expect it to be a tad bit bigger, which made my initial reaction quite disappointing. How am I going to do anything with this so-called grenade? And I sat there and thought about it. So the way we open this thing up to actually get it to fire is once you pull the pin, the actual handle doesn't do a whole lot, but it does center this weird weight, which is actually kind of, it's free floating, and these doors are held on with like a catch, like what you'd find in an actual blaster, a spring-loaded catch, and there's spring-loaded flaps that will fling open and shoot stuff, whatever's in here, everywhere. So we can actually open it by moving this around and having it undo those catches. This one right there, yep, there we go, oh yeah, and it explodes quite violently, and you get this thing that looks like something from a sci-fi movie. But now we've kind of figured out how this thing works, and from there it's just an idea of what we can do with it. And of course people are going to have various ideas of what you can do with this, and I kind of went through all those myself. The first thing is like, well, it's not got a whole lot of room. Maybe we can make it shoot like short darts. And you can put like Stefan darts, like I think about 2 of them, maybe 3, maybe 4 if you're lucky. I kind of doubt it. But you can fit those in there, and sure enough, it will fling them everywhere. But that's not very many projectiles. And then, of course, the best thing after that would be just like filling it up with basically just dart heads. Like, just take the head off the dart, fill it up, and throw it, and you'd get a big explosion of rubber that would be still pretty darn safe and would technically work in a war. That isn't exactly great, though, because you have to have a whole setup of rubber heads that you'd only be using with this thing, and they would be a pain to clean up, and it would be kind of annoying to have your own ammunition for just this thing right here. However, there is an answer. I have thought about this, and I have tested it, and you can, in fact, fill this thing up with rival rounds. And the way I'm going to do that, and I'm going to explain it to you, is the first thing you're going to want to do is pull that down, catch that initial plate right there, close that, and pin this thing shut. And what that's going to do is prevent this initial, like, thing from opening, and that has locked down 2 of our 3 flinger things. And from there, you can shove rival rounds into this thing. I've got a few here. Originally, when I tried this, I only used 3 in each container, and you just wedge them in there. Is that great? No, but it does work. At least I think it's great, but it's not optimal, I should say. But they fit in there perfectly fine, I should say. In fact, once you have this thing closed, you can't tell there's rival rounds in it at all. And that will give you 9 projectiles, which is a fairly decent amount, I would say. It's perfectly usable, but that's not really the effect we're looking for now, is it? 9 projectiles, I think we could do a little bit better. And again, this is stock ammunition that you can get pretty much anywhere. So how do you maximize the usage of your grenade? Well, you take a little bit more time and a few more rounds, and what you do is you're going to put an extra 2. It might even hold 3, I'm not quite sure. I haven't pushed it past this, but you can put 2 more of these things in each side. So if I close that down and do that, sometimes it doesn't catch, sometimes it's a little tricky. I haven't, once I've gotten all of them on there, I haven't had it explode on me or anything like that, but you get 2 more, so there's 5 in this side. This side's now open for us to shove 3 more in there, so we'll just shove 3 more rival rounds in there, like that, which again, perfectly fine. And then we've got 4 more here. We can put them like that, and this is the trickiest one, but thankfully, since rival rounds are so squishy, they will in fact fit in there. So, come on. Uh-oh. There we go. Sometimes it's a little tricky, but yeah, you can just shove that thing like that, and you've got a grenade. Let's make sure our pin is in there. And yeah, it's not opening up. It's live, it's not opening up. I'm not gonna explode this thing in the house because I will never get these back. But that is, at this point, a 15 projectile grenade. That is NERF. I will spray paint a NERF logo and everything on this because it needs it. I wish the key, the pin, was a little bit tighter in here. That's one of the things I'm going to be doing very, very soon. But yeah, it is ready to go. At this point, all you would do is, of course, pull the pin and throw it, and it will, in fact, fling rival rounds everywhere. No, seriously, the range on these things is ridiculous. It can go like 35, 40 feet. Not all of them, but some of them will go that far. It's got a very nice kind of range of effect. Now, of course, there is some concerns about that. For one, this thing is pretty hefty. I wouldn't necessarily want to take this thing to the head, especially when thrown. It's hard plastic. It's not going to give you a whole bunch of flex or anything like that. This will hurt if you get hit in the head with it. That's for sure. And the other thing is, well, if you throw this on concrete or something like that, it's gonna break. It's just plastic. Very stiff, rigid plastic, but it is just plastic. I was using this outside in, the grass, so it works perfectly fine. Dirt should be fine. If you hit a tree with it, I'm sure it will probably survive, but don't expect it to survive if you're using it in a parking lot or something crazy like that. I think it would just get chewed up. You could probably do a little bit more with it if you, took it apart and you took all the pins out and, coated it in Plastidip or something like that, and if it still worked after that, then you'd probably be fine, but yeah, that's a bit dangerous, I would say. And thankfully, the operation of this thing isn't meant to be thrown overhanded. It actually works a lot better if you just lob it underhanded. So you can literally just take the thing, pull the pin, and gently throw it, and it will in fact work perfectly fine. Optimally, you would want it to land on the bottom. And that's trickier than it sounds. If it hits the bottom like that, then of course everything will spring out in a very wide effect and it would be perfectly distributed. But that doesn't always happen. Most of the time I used this thing, it shot them in every direction, but one side, or I'd say one half of it, got the biggest detonation and flew these things everywhere. And that's just because it usually lands on its side, and then it will explode from that side. So few of them will go behind it, most of them will go in front of it, kind of making it like a ranged shotgun. And that's exactly the use that you would have for something like this. It is a safe way to clear around a corner.
This means stack up, and this means I'm gonna put your lights out if you don't shut up.
Stack up? No, I'm pretty sure that means one syllable.
Just shut up. Breach that door.
Okay.
Around a tree, somebody behind cover, without actually having to hit them with the grenade like you'd want to do in, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. You'd want to hit somebody in the face with a grenade. You don't really want to do that with this one, because you can just throw it near them, and of course it will detonate, and it will probably hit them. Now, it is up to debate whether you can feel every single round that hits me, although I think somebody who saw the grenade would look at it, and then, it would explode, and they would see if they got hit by it. I think people would be a good sport about that, because a grenade is not something we're used to seeing in actual NERF. But it's what use does this actually have beyond... It can clear around corners and stuff, and that's really useful if you can do it without exposing yourself. Let's face it, no matter what I say about this thing, you already decided if you want one or not. If you want a NERF grenade that works, and works well, just buy it. I would buy more than one, because honestly I have no idea how long these plastic catches and stuff will last. I've thrown it 24 times so far, and I haven't had any. There's not even a scratch on the thing, maybe a little bit of mud and grass here or there, but I don't see it breaking at all. And that's with me stuffing this thing up to absolute max. It still works perfectly fine. Again, I do wish this key was a little bit tighter in there. I could probably fix that with some glue. Just put a little bit of super glue in there and then pull it out, and that will tighten up that hole a bit. But honestly, it's a grenade. You either need to have a grenade at your wars, or you want to have a grenade at your wars, or multiple grenades, or you don't. It's kind of up for debate whether this thing is actually useful or not. Again, I would not be that person who's throwing it overhanded, because if you hit somebody in the head, they're not going to be happy. Now, if you lobbed this at me underhanded, it hit me in the chest, hit my shoe, and exploded, and, balls hit me in the face, I wouldn't really be all that upset, because, it's not gonna hurt. They do have some velocity, but they're not crazy powerful or anything like that. And of course, if you want to use this thing with the actual water BBs in a war, I wouldn't mind whatsoever. If you're an airsofter, or for some reason you allow this kind of stuff in your NERF war, you could definitely fill it up with airsoft BBs. It would work for that. It's a grenade. I don't know really how much else I can say about it. I personally love this. This is one of the coolest freaking things I've ever gotten my hands on in this entire time I've done this channel. And it's so mechanically simple, and it's thanks to the existence of Rival that this thing even honestly works for me at all. If this didn't use Rival and I was using cut-up dart heads and stuff like that, I would be fairly disappointed. But the fact I could shove possibly even one more round in each hole, I haven't even tried, but it might be possible to fit 6 rounds in each one. I have a total of 18. And that's nothing to scoff at. That's 18 rounds or 15 rounds that is used immediately and in kind of an awkward way, but it is freaking cool. I highly recommend, if you have any interest in this thing at all, buy one, maybe even buy 2. I certainly will be getting my hands on more of them because this is way too much fun, and we're going to have to come up with all new fun ways to use these in Nerf Wars. This is going to be really, really fun to have on the field, and I do hope you enjoyed this kind of crazy idea using what is not a Nerf grenade and making it into an actual Nerf grenade. I'm Walcom S7. Let me know what you think about this thing down in the comment section below. Of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different video, and around here, it's so different, it makes me freaking so excited, and that's why I love this hobby.